Crystal Preston-Watson, Quality and Accessibility Engineer. Today, I'm going to talk about anxiety disorders and the workplace. This video is going to cover what anxiety disorders are, how they can affect your work performance, and a few things you and others can do to reduce anxiety at work. Now, I want to explain what the difference is between anxiety and anxiety disorders. Anxiety is a normal reaction to stress and can be beneficial in some situations. Like when I play Dark Souls. It's scary and I suck at it, so I feel anxious. Anxiety disorders, however, differ from normal feelings of nervousness or anxiousness and involve excessive fear or anxiety that can interfere with daily life and activities. Several types of anxiety disorders exist. General anxiety disorder, or GAD, involves persistent and excessive worry and nervousness. Panic disorder is characterized by repeated episodes of panic attacks, a combination of intense anxiety, fear, and distress. Phobia related disorders are excessive and persistent fear of objects, situations, or activities out of proportion to the actual danger caused by those things. These can include social anxiety disorder, SAD, which causes an intense fear about social interactions, often driven by irrational worries about humiliation and judgment. Agoraphobia is defined by an intense fear of being in places or situations where escape might be difficult or help wouldn't be available if things go wrong. Feeling restless or on edge, being easily fatigued, having difficulty concentrating, having an increased heart rate, having muscle tension, difficulty controlling feelings of worry, having sleep problems, such as difficulty falling or staying asleep. The symptoms of anxiety disorders can overlap, but not everyone who has an anxiety disorder will experience all or even the same symptoms. I want to know that if you're finding yourself relating to most of the symptoms I've listed, please don't self diagnose. I'm not a doctor, and I advise you to seek out a qualified health professional for a proper evaluation. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the United States. 31% of adults will experience an anxiety disorder at some point in their life. Around the globe, it's estimated that 264 million adults have anxiety. I'm in that 31%. I was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder around 10 years ago, though it affected me long before that. Many social situations and places are a nightmare for me. I've lost out on countless career and academic opportunities, travel, and relationships due to the extreme fear of being judged by others. When I was younger, I was told I was just shy and I needed to put myself out there. Once I started working with therapists and taking medication, I realized it wasn't something I could will myself out of. Though my social anxiety will probably never go away, I've learned to live with and manage it. Today, I frequently give presentation and talks on web accessibility at conferences, and I regularly perform on stage doing improv. I also did this one really bad stand up that I hope no one recorded. The biggest struggle I still have is work, and I'm not alone. The workplace can be highly stressful, and that stress can lead to anxiety. Also, anxiety disorders don't magically disappear when a person clocks in. According to a survey done by the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, 56% of those that responded said stress and anxiety most often impacts their workplace performance. 50% said it also impacts the quality of their work. The World Health Organization states that depression and anxiety disorders cost the global economy $1 trillion each year in lost productivity. No matter the cause, work anxiety has a negative effect for both employees and organizations. Companies that promote mental health and support employees are more likely to reduce absenteeism, increase productivity, and benefit from associated economic gains. Even if you aren't a manager or an executive at your company, There are things you can do personally to help your coworkers and even yourself navigate the stress and anxiety of work. When having virtual meetings, make your web camera preferences known in the meeting invite. You don't need everyone's camera to be turned on at every meeting. And there are also many valid reasons why someone wouldn't have their camera turned on. By making your preferences for your meeting known ahead of time, gives time for participants to prepare both mentally and technically for the meeting. Take questions via chat. Many people have extreme anxiety with public speaking. Now, it might not always be practical given the type of meeting, but allowing people to participate via chat can greatly improve the type and amount of feedback given. When sending emails, be clear with dates and deadlines when making requests or asking for information. Communication that is vague can be a huge anxiety trigger for many, especially if the person making the request has seniority. Turning on vacation notifications if you're out of the office for more than a day. This is related to the previous tip of being clear with your communication. It also reduces the likelihood of coming back from your break to find panicked messages from others trying to reach you. Don't message and run. If you message someone and you know you're going to be away from your computer before the person can respond, let them know you're stepping away, or if possible, wait until you get back to message them. Get familiar with your notification settings. Do you get distracted when you see there's a new comment or message in chat? I know I do. But the good news is that most messaging platforms have a setting to turn that off, along with many other settings that can make remote working 100 times better and quieter. Don't use all or everyone notifications unless actually needed. Look, I'm glad it's Wednesday, aka Hump Day, gif of a camel with sunglasses. But I and about 1,000 of my coworkers don't need to know that from you. Contact all notifications should only be used for important, time sensitive, or an emergency information that everyone needs to know. Wednesday is not an emergency. Well, it is for me because it's not Taco Tuesday. These were just a few tips that I've picked up over the years working in physical and remote offices. And it's far from complete. If you have any tips of your own that I didn't cover, I would love to hear them. I hope this video was helpful and gave you a brief insight on anxiety in the workplace. If I was sure I was going to do this more often, I would tell you to like and subscribe for more videos. But this was so damn stressful. I don't think videos are going to be a regular thing from me, but I'll do more at some point. In the meantime, you can catch me on Twitter where I'm more in my element.